Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to Show and Tell number 302. So this is going to be another fast one. Last week we had all the FOs, and two of them I didn't even have anymore. And today I have 3 WIPs that I've touched. So I'm filming a little bit earlier in the week again. So we did late, mid, and now a little bit early. So once again, I've only had like 4 days. When Troy got back, things were very busy. And like yesterday, so I'm filming this Monday. Yesterday, I'm trying really hard to post on Instagram what I'm working on and remembering to share more on there. And, like I was sharing Sunday's pictures and realized literally the only thing I touched all day were the 8-bit, smack myself with my headphones, the 8-bit socks, because I took those in the car with me to mass. And then when I walked yesterday evening, but I didn't craft all day. I mean, everything I did yesterday was, trying to get a row or two in on the socks. Like that's all. I didn't sit down on the sofa. It's just like the day was gone. And that's where I was. Like that's just what happened. That's where I ended up. And it's like, all right, well, if that's how the day is going to be, I guess that's how the day is going to be. But that's what happened. Last week ended up being a little bit of everything. And this week I've got 2 doctor's appointments. So it's kind of going to like chop into my morning time. And I don't know that I'm going to get a whole lot of walks in this week. So anyway, it's just been, silly bananas, not like, oh, something horrible's happened. No, it's just little life events. So we did have Saturday, we ended up taking a detour. So I'm sorry, it's really hot. Today's 90 degrees and the sun is on this side of the house. It's later in the day. So I feel like this room in particular upstairs, I'm getting a little, got a little warm here. So Saturday morning, my dad and I were on the phone. We tend to walk and talk at the same time. And I'm walking and I'm knitting and I'm waiting for him to finish up breakfast and give me a call. And I hit the end of one of the roads and I'm turning around and I get smacked with the smell, very specific. Buttermilk blueberry pancakes, and not like the soft, soggy kind that you get at like a Cracker Barrel, but like the kind that are like fried in butter and a little crispy and lacy on the edges. And it's like, oh crap. Like that it smelled like heaven. So I came home and I had a wheat-free, sugar-free mix that I could make Carrie safe ones with, and I had some normal ones to make for Troy. And instead of buttermilk, I strained my yogurt to make yogurt cheese. I actually bought a strainer for this because I was going through so much of it earlier this year. I need to do another batch, but I still have like a quart of whey left over from the last one that I did. So I actually used the whey with a little bit of milk. So it's mostly whey in there to make it tangy and sour like buttermilk. Anyway, they ended up phenomenal. I had fresh blueberries on hand because that's what I throw in my yogurt most days. So it's like I was able to immediately curb the craving. But I was sitting there, I told my dad when he called, it's like, you're not going to believe this, but I've got to tell somebody is out here making buttermilk blueberry pancakes. And now, because I could smell the blueberries and I could smell that buttermilk tang, it's like, now I must have them. So I got those, but that, like I came back from my walk, took a shower and immediately started making pancakes. So like that kind of took up this huge swath of the rest of my morning there. So it actually, we didn't eat until like 12:15. So that was the entire morning gone at that point. So is it, like I said, it's always stupid things like that'll happen where it's just like, I'm just off doing something else. So anyway, I didn't get a ton of crafting done. I worked on things and I made legitimate good progress on these 3 things, but It is what it is. Before we move into what I worked on this week, I do want to remind you guys that the Haunted Hughes make-along kit from Hypnotic Yarn is still available. The pre-order closes tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you were interested in ordering the kit for that, there is a pattern, extras, 100 grams of yarn, 220-gram minis, and this year's theme for the Haunted Hughes make-along, the color inspiration is Nightmare Before Christmas. So very excited. Cheryl has offered my subscribers a $3 off coupon. That is here on the screen. It will also be in the description box down below, but it's Carrie HH26, $3 off your Haunted Hughes kit. So somebody asked about the colors. The swatch that Cheryl has shown shows tone-wise medium bright to a rich, darker shade, but nothing like black. So I can't answer. It is a mystery cal. It's a mystery kit. So I can't really answer all that kind of stuff. But the swatch that she does show for the color palette inspiration isn't overly dark. Sorry, my throat started doing that like dried out thing. And it starts to like spasm like right here. No fun. Anyway. Yeah, I haven't seen it where it looks like it's going to be overly dark. Previous ones haven't been super dark. While you might have like a mini that has some like black specks or something, they haven't been like dark. Most of Cheryl's colorways are midtones, midtones to brights. So I hope that helps. Anyway, I did want to remind you guys because I am 100% invested in participating this year. I am trying to like set my brain space to the side that's going to be like my coffee knitting. I'm not doing, I refuse. I refuse to do like a big project thing like I did with Project Christmas Blanket. I refuse to get drug into stuff like that. I do have some makes I want to do for friends and family, but I refuse to lose myself in a big thing like making all those blankets last year. So I'm trying to set aside like October. That will be my coffee knitting in the mornings. I'm very excited. Anyway, let's go ahead. I've got WIPs. We'll talk about media for a minute and then we will jump on over to pet tax and I will get out of your hair for the week. So let's check out on what I actually worked on this week. All right, so quickest thing to talk about first would be my 8-bit socks. So I did get quite a bit of work done on these. I am about an inch from putting in the heel now. So from the 1st of May to when I filmed last Wednesday, we got here to here. Thursday to today, which is Monday, I got here to here. So almost the entire foot. These are going to be for my dad. They're a men's US size 12. I am using Knit Picks Felici in the color 8-bit. The toe is actually, it's either Knit Picks Stroll in black, or it is an old Cloudborn from Craftsy before they became Blueprint, which is now Craftsy again. Did you follow? Yeah. Cloudborn used to be one of their in-house lines, and I have a bunch of it. The label is somewhere, and I'm not sure where, but it's just black. Whatever it is, it's merino and nylon, just like the Felici is. So I actually, when I was walking today, I was telling one of my neighbors, the last pair I did was in a more sturdy wool. These are in the soft merino. And I was like, no, I mean, touch it. I mean, it's really, really soft. And she's, oh, and she's sitting there petting the sock. She's like, that's nice. It's like, no, it's very nice to the touch. It's very easy on the hands. I'm doing those 2 at a time on a 40-inch US1 Chowgu needle. I'm going to use Denise from Earth Tone Girls Shadow Wrap Heel for these, and I will cap it with I'm going to take it fairly high on the leg this time. Dad said the last pair fit great. No bagging. He said they were actually a little bit tighter than he expected them to be. I think he was expecting them to be more like slipper socks, not socks, because the only one I've sent socks, proper socks to is my mom. And I don't think she ever wore them because they're actually the picture, the cup of tea with I'll put it here. The card that I use, that's the sock with the cup of tea. That's my picture. That's a pair of socks that I made that went to my mom. They were using Knit Pick Stroll. But yeah, I don't think she ever wore these. I made these for like 12 years ago, maybe. And she thought they were too nice. I know she didn't wear them for years. I don't even know if she still has them, to be honest. But that's the only pair of socks I've sent anybody outside of my household or given anybody outside the household. So I think he expected more like slipper socks instead of everyday wear socks. So I told him this pair is even lighter, but they're merino, so they're kind of warmer in my opinion. So we'll see how he likes them. Troy still doesn't have his yet because the first ones I cast on with the Felice for him are his Christmas socks. So those are kind of, toes are cast on and holding for July. I'm aiming to work on those in July. So yeah, we'll see how Dad likes these. The next pair are going to be in the Sherlock colorway in the Felice. And then the pair after that is, I think, going to be a Lion brand Saki sock that I had. So I told him I was doing some silly socks, a little bit more flamboyant, and then some like more for cereal socks. So I think these are going to be really the only truly silly ones. If he really likes these, I do have some other ones that I can pull together for him. But I do want to go a little bit higher on the leg. I did really like the 25 row cuff as much as I hate knitting 2x2 rib for 25 rows. It does make for a really nice top of the sock. So anyway, I'm going to somehow manage to make this video long just because I'm not going to shut up. Sorry. I'm in a really chatty mood today. Even when I was talking to my husband, I pulled together dinner and I'm so excited. I'm doing a sushi inspired bowl. So I'm using konjac rice for mine. Troy's having standard steamed rice for his, but I had some leftover salmon that I had cooked in the oven and I mixed it with a little bit of Kewpie mayonnaise, some soy sauce, a little bit of sesame oil, a splash of mirin, a little ginger, some garlic, fresh ginger, fresh garlic. And I've diced up some cucumber. So it's very much like it's a salmon roll inspired thing. A little bit of sriracha in the mix. So it'll be the salmon with cucumber on top served on rice. I tried the salmon salad before I came up here just to see how the flavors were mellowing. Oh my God, it's so good. But I was telling him about that. And I know he could not possibly care less. It's not his thing. So I started my shawl using the Knit Picks Brava Sport in black and currant. So I really wish, even on the currant, it's kind of hard to see. We have like some third loop half double crochets. We have these cluster stitches here. And then in the black section, we have kind of like some random eyelets. No matter where I put it, there you go. There you can see the eyelets. Anyway, very pretty textured shawl. Even in person, it's kind of hard unless you're like here looking at it to see all the texture that's really in this garnet section here. It's a beautiful shawl. This is the Awakenings shawl pattern. I will put it down below. If you put that into Ravelry by itself, you get about 6 different shawls. So I want to make sure you have the right one here. It is a 13 row repeat, I believe. So each section, if you read it as you're working on it, the sections I'm finding to think it in, the black section's very easy. Like this 5 rows, stupid easy. This one, it's easy to kind of break it up into like this section to this section, because this splits those 2 sections apart, but these are the same stitches kind of. You do kind of get into a pattern with it. I have missed a stitch and had to figure out what I did wrong though. So definitely not something you can do while thinking about other things, which is very unfortunate, because my other project that's a crochet project that I keep thinking is going to be oh so easy for me to concentrate on has been my Searder Mal from 2025. And let me just say, I had to stop watching things that I was interested in watching while working on this, because I was finding myself watching stuff and not paying attention to what I was doing. And it's slowing me down. Number 2, I'm not doing anything any justice. So right now I need a mindless option, and I don't really have a mindless option downstairs. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, because the Awakening shawl is way more thinking than I thought it was going to be. Maybe by the time I get done with this next garnet section, it won't be as much like active participation. But anyway, I pulled out my Searder Mal. So we will spend a little bit of time sitting here talking. If you couldn't possibly care less about this, that's fine. Go ahead and skip to media and pet tax. But I have some things to say here. And this isn't about the Mal. This is about me working on the Mal. So, yeah, I thought I was further along than I was. It turns out I was like 3/4 of the way through with week 2. So when I picked this up, I had all of my eyeball bases, all of my pumpkin bases, all of my skeleton bases done. I needed to do all of my swirl blocks, and that's all I had left from week 2. So I got all those done. Clearly, they're now join as you go into my strips. I was able to look at the diagram and see how I plan to join as you go everything. The only thing I'm thinking now I've got to think about is doing this section on the top and bottom, making sure that I'm doing that section right. But these needed to be put together as we went. So sides were fine. These are made to go together, as you go. It's worked on the strip to begin with. So week 3, I've got this section done on my first side panel. So this will be this side panel. I actually really like this, other than the fact every row is a color change. That's a little tedious having to, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 yarn changes. But I really like the pattern. I like how this looks. So it's worth doing it. It doesn't mean it doesn't still annoy me. Just saying. Did really enjoy the spiral block though. I've done that. I've done something similar a couple of times, but so you can see where this is where the black ends, and you can see that the orange picks up. There is a combination of stitches done right here that is a continuation of the first row of orange that comes around and goes in right here. And you can't even see it from this distance, that there's a little extra wedge piece right here. And it makes it seamless, and it makes it a perfect square in the block. And it's so genius. So genius. Not trying to sound like anybody, but it is. It is brilliant the way that is done. And I wanted to take 2 seconds to talk about little details like that. These 3 stitches that bring everything up to a square level before I start the final round. There are so many times where people skip over those types of details when they design something, and it drives me crazy, because I'll be like, why isn't this flush? Why isn't this meeting up? Why doesn't this look right? I've done this before, done this type of square before, done this motif before, and that hasn't been there. And then having these 3 little stitches that fix that. I love good design. I love a good designer. I love thoughtful design. And that just made me very happy. That brought joy to my life in a degree that it shouldn't have. So I'm still working on week 3. On the other side panel, I am getting ready to start the yellow strip. I do have to keep reminding myself green is lemongrass, zest is yellow. Everything else makes perfect sense. And it's true for theirs too. So for mine, I am using all Premier anti-pilling just because I had everything but the black in my stash. Black and red. I did have to order 2 skeins or 3 skeins of the red, but I had everything but enough black and red to do this. So I'm just using what I had instead of buying new yarn. I do wish I had gone down to an H hook instead of using a size I hook, which is normally what I would use with this. I do think the stitches could have afforded to be a little bit tighter. I might actually, in the border, come in with an H hook and do the last, it's got a pumpkin border that goes around the whole blanket. I think I might come in with an H hook to do that. And an H hook if I decide to do the spider webs. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do the final spider web border yet, just because that's the kind of thing with cats tend to get. And I do still have 2 little grandkids that should hopefully be here like Halloween season. So I don't want that to get kidderized. So I might leave the spider web border off between pets and kids. But I do think I might drop down to an H hook to do that outer border and kind of suck everything in just a little bit on the edges. But the rest of week 3, after I finish doing the other large panel, is doing the outer border for the 2 top panels, which are 4 squares long. And they're in a cat stitch, which is also changing colors every row, I believe. And maybe it's every other row. Then it's making the pieces for the skeleton face, the jack-o'-lantern face, and embroidering the bloodshot eye bits here. So I still have a lot on week 3 left to go, but I thought I was further along. I'm kind of surprised that I was only on week 2 when I picked this up. I thought I had gotten more done before Project Christmas Blanket. Like, I just became a parent. I didn't have time to do this. I needed to work on Project Christmas Blanket. So anyway, that's what I've worked on. That's all. That's all I've touched. That's all I've played with. I do have 8 cards with their pieces ready to go for the Spook Your Spring Make Along, but it's not really something worth showing right now. So I'm not even really. I got a lot of the prep work done, but it's not something it's not that exciting to see because it's still a bunch of pieces that haven't been put together into cards or even card fronts. So, yeah, I have my class with Sherry Dumbrell tomorrow. I'm planning on, hopefully I should be back by then, but planning on being there from 2 to 4 tomorrow online. And I have one more baby blanket I want to crank out. And I did get the Knit Picks Brava Sport. So this is not going to work. It's a little too purple. If I use it, I'm going to have to use it in the border. But the spruce that I got is a close enough match. I actually thought side by side in a normal lit room, it looked the same. But side by side, it didn't look different enough, whereas in 3 panels, it's going to be an issue. So I need to crank out that last strip for the Warlock blanket, and then I can start sewing that together and figuring out what to do. I left the ends open, the ends raw. So I have to figure out like how I want to border it. And I want to see the pieces together before I make that decision. Because as I'm putting them together, if the blanket feels huge, I might actually just do an I-cord bind off because all the top edge stitches and the bottom edge stitches are live. So it would just be picking up and doing an I-cord on the sides, which would still be a pain in the butt, but not nearly as bad as having to pick up all the way around the blanket, working around like all the joins and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm thinking about that and trying to like figure out what I'm going to do. I'm still not sure if I'm going to join those panels. There's a slip stitch weaving method, very similar to how I put the tube panels together from the Addie blankets I made. So I could do something like that, and do that braided slip stitch join to join my panels together, or I could do mattress stitch, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because mattress stitching that many panels together that long would be laborious. But I'm leaning towards mattress stitch just because I want stability, because this is a single layer knit blanket. And I don't normally knit blankets, especially blankets like this. So this feels very loose for me for a blanket. I don't know that that even makes sense, but it's a very light, loose blanket. Sport DK weight yarn knitted just is a lot lighter than what I'm used to. So yeah, I'm debating back and forth as to how I want to do the join, and I'm debating back and forth as to how I want to do the border. I do want to continue. I want the garnet for sure. I could do garnet, seraphim garnet, or I could just do it all in garnet. I don't know. I've got to get it put together and see how I'm feeling about it first. And then I think by the time I have the first like 3 or 4 panels together, I mean, if it's huge, I really won't need a large border. So just swooping around it with the red, I think would be enough. So anyway, let's hop over to media real quick and then pet tax. Yeah, I've talked way too much. I am so sorry, guys. This is just, like I said, I'm in a chatty mood. All right, guys. So for media, I am in the middle of season 3 of School Spirits, and I have some mixed feelings so far. I feel like they've gotten picked up for an extra season, and they're trying to stretch out certain storylines and give themselves time to figure out what to do. And then they're kind of like doing this other thing where it kind of feels like we don't know if we want to go there or not. And we're going to go ahead and make our way like halfway to this like really good place maybe. But it takes the show in a different turn if they follow that path. And I think they're scared to commit. And I'm about halfway through the season. I think now they've made the choice to commit, that this is going to change the trajectory of the show and the feel of the show moving forward, and how characters can interact with each other moving forward. Because this will shift everything in a very different show dynamic. It will be like you had one show here and a new show here if they follow this trajectory. And I think they've committed now to how that's going to change the show. Or they've committed because this is going to give them a path to end the show. So I'm not sure which it is yet. I try so hard to not spoil shows for myself. So anyway, that's there. We watched Megan about a year after it came out. We finally watched Megan 2, and that's like 2-3 years old now. I don't know how I feel about it. I liked it. I don't know how I like it as a sequel. And I don't know how I feel about it. The things that they talk about in Megan 2 could have been really good as a mini series, I think. Really exploring that Isaac Asimov iRobot technology robot interface with humans, and the loss of artificial intelligence. I think you could have had a lot more exploration into that, but the action movie plot kind of prevented the deeper conversation from being really fleshed out. And for what I love a good action movie. Like, I am sitting there with my popcorn. I love I love just a straight good action movie. And that it was good. It was a good action movie, but I wanted more of that underlying story because it was really good. And the conversation between Megan and the aunt about Megan's growth since the first movie, especially when she's like, I was a kid, and talking about that development of artificial intelligence is still being childlike to maturity. But because we kind of glossed over that conversation, it kind of made other things not fit together quite right and not kind of go together and make a lot of sense, because we went from Megan protector doll to murderer to, like Kill Bill action star, and with morals and ethics and everything else. And it was just kind of, it's like you had two movies going on at the same time and you had to dedicate your time to one thing, and it ended up being the action movie, which, like I said, it was a perfectly fine action movie. It just, I kind of like the secondary story better. I think that should have been the primary story and the action movie was secondary. It's kind of like how I feel about this, the Jurassic Park movie that's Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore. That one, it's like you've got some really cool things underlying all of that with morals and ethics and everything else. I kind of would have liked more of that pulled into the last half of that movie, versus just the action movie, because you hit on something really good here, and I kind of want more of that story. Can you give me more of that one? Anyway, I don't know. For a sequel, it really it was like a really good movie. It was, as an action movie, it was definitely a really good, fun afternoon action movie to watch. I would have never paid movie theater prices, just the ticket prices, to go see that one. But it was fun. It definitely is a completely different feel from the first movie, though. The first movie was definitely more horror, action, sci-fi type movie. This was way more of a straight action movie. So it was a very different feel. And I think you had a lot of the same people involved in this. So I don't know why the feel was so completely different, but it was definitely more like a Michael Bay movie than a sci-fi horror movie. So, yeah, I had some about it. It was a fun movie though. So, I mean, I'm going to give it B- for entertainment. I mean, just kind of like the entire package as a whole. It wasn't horrible. I really liked the secondary story way more than the action movie story though. So I don't know. Anyway, I am going to go ahead and get off of here. I'm going to send you guys over to look at my cute kittens. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, fantastic week. Hopefully next week I'll have some more stuff to talk about. I do have some doctor's appointments, so I don't know how that's going to impact how things go here. But we're going to play along. We're going to see what happens. I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. Please take care of yourselves. Bye, guys. Thank you.